Alright, so hey guys, welcome back to another video. I hope you guys are all doing well. Today, we're going to be doing another Best Buys video. So I know a lot of you guys are going to be heading back to school, and in this kind of fall season that's going to be coming up here sooner rather than later, a lot of people are going to be going out and buying some brand new gaming PCs. And one of the best places, I think, to go and buy one is Best Buy. And I've done a lot of different videos talking about why Best Buy is such a good place to go and get a PC from. So if you guys want to go check those out, make sure to just kind of hit those cards up top. And if you guys want to see in general just more tech content, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. Really helps me out, and it helps me kind of grow this channel so I can make more and more interesting stuff for you guys to watch. Also, if you guys want to help this video get out there to help more people, to help inform more people, make sure to hit that like button as well. It helps this video just, get out to more people. And if you guys want to help this video even more, just comment and say something down below. It really helps with the interactions as well on this video. So all those things really help me out, and I really appreciate it when any of you guys do it. So now that we're done with that little spiel, we can get into the video. So first off, the kind of format for this is we're going to be starting from the lowest tier that I would pretty much recommend in any gaming PC, and we'll kind of go up to the highest tier. Now again, I do have to give a little bit of a disclaimer on this one because there's going to be a broad time span for people probably watching this video. Just understand that availability and pricing are subject to change over time, like pretty much anything. Just because it says $900 for this PC doesn't mean that's going to be $900 within a month or two, right? So the price could go down, the price could go up. It really just kind of depends on what the market is like, and as well, depending on your location, you might not have this exact PC in your area. But I did try to choose PCs that are pretty much all the time in stock no matter where you're at. Alright, so the first one we're going to be taking a look at is going to be the Lenovo Legion Tower 5i gaming desktop. So this thing's got an Intel Core i5-10400F, 8 gigs of memory, an Nvidia GeForce GTX 1650 Super, a 256 gigabyte SSD, and a 1 terabyte hard drive. And all of this comes in at $900. And I think that this is a great PC for people to kind of start off with. Now, it's not anything special. It's not going to be like crazy high build quality. You are only getting one stick of 8 gigabytes of memory, which isn't anything I would say is great, but I still think it's a pretty decent gaming PC. You're getting a really good CPU. An i5-10400F is a great 6-core CPU for people if you just want to play games in general, or if you want to do some content creation. It should be more than good enough for most people to be able to do what they want. When it comes to the GPU on the system, the Nvidia GeForce GTX 1650 Super should be more than enough for most people at this price range. Though again, I might suggest you upgrade it later down the line. As of right now, with the current pricing situation and the current availability situation, the GTX 1650 Super seems to still kind of hit that price point pretty well that it's in. It's going to be able to play games at 1080p, 60 FPS from a medium to high setting range. So yes, it's going to play Warzone at, again, probably around 60 FPS at medium to high settings. Different games are going to have different performance levels. So if you're playing something like CSGO, you're probably going to be hitting around 150 to 200 FPS depending on the settings that you want. Games that are harder to run might be worse. I would probably suggest you only use a 1080p monitor with this system, just because of the fact that it doesn't have a crazy powerful graphics card. Now overall, I think the PC is fine. I've looked at some reviews, I looked at some images for this thing. The build quality isn't going to be anything insane. You do have a good amount of airflow, I feel like, on this system. You have an exhaust fan. You do just have a downdraft cooler, but for the CPU, it's not going to be anything crazy. It might get a little bit hot when it comes to doing anything that's super intensive, like video rendering and stuff like that. But for most people who are just playing games and stuff like that on their PC, it shouldn't be anything that bad. And again, as you can see, there are 4 RAM channels for the RAM. So if you do want to upgrade your memory, I would highly suggest you do that so you can get dual channel and get 16 gigabytes of it, because 16 gigs of RAM I think is pretty much the minimum I would recommend people nowadays. And that's just because people like to have games and other applications open while they are playing their games. Maybe you want to listen to music or have a video going on in the background. You're definitely going to want some more RAM if you're going to be playing games and having other stuff open. So yeah, I would just highly suggest, if you are buying this PC, to grab an extra stick of 8 gigs of memory and make that dual channel so that you can get the best performance out of this PC that you can. Alright, now we're going to be moving on to the next one. So this is going to be the HP Omen gaming desktop with an Intel Core i5. Again, 8 gigs of memory, not something that I enjoy too much, but again, the nice thing is that it does have 4 slots for RAM, so you can put that dual channel in pretty easily. easily. And you've got an Nvidia GeForce GTX 1660 Super and a 512GB SSD. So I know HP isn't necessarily known for quality or anything like that, and so is Lenovo. Like, none of these guys are known for like high quality stuff. But again, I think it really does meet the price to performance area that most people are looking for. Especially this HP Omen, I don't think that anybody's going to be disappointed with the overall performance level of this system. Again, you're getting the same overall CPU. I think it is actually just the 10400 instead of the 10400F. So the only difference between this CPU of this system is that this one has an integrated GPU in it. So I guess if you're someone who's doing stuff like Premiere Pro renderings, you might get some better rendering performance because of that iGPU, and some applications can kind of take advantage of it, but that's really the only scenario. If you're just a gamer, you're pretty much not going to see any difference with it. But yeah, the main thing that is making this system, I think, better in my eyes is just because you got that 1660 Super and you have a better storage configuration. You have a 512GB SSD compared to just the 256GB SSD, though it does have a 1TB hard drive. Pretty much these two are interchangeable, I would say. If you do want the better graphics horsepower, I'd pretty much just go with this system. But as long as you upgrade the memory on either system, so again, as long as you buy another stick of memory to put on this system and this system, they should be pretty much interchangeable, at least in my eyes. Just because, again, the main difference between the two is going to be the GPU, and that's pretty much what you're paying that extra $150 for on this system. Now, for another good jump, for $1,150, you're getting a Lenovo Legion Tower 5i, so it's pretty much the same thing as this one, except with a pretty big spec upgrade. So you're getting a i7 11700, which is an 8-core 16-thread processor. It's one of the newest CPUs that Intel's come out with. It's part of their Rocket Lake series of CPUs, which are pretty good. And it has 16 gigs of memory, an Nvidia GeForce GTX 1660 Super, a 256GB SSD, and a 1TB hard drive. Now, this is pretty much the exact same thing as this first one, except you're upgrading the memory, you're upgrading the CPU and the GPU. And the GPU is the exact same on this HP Omen system, but again, the main thing is that this CPU is going to be a good bit better because it is actually a generation ahead of both of these ones, and it is a step up. It's an i7 instead of an i5, so this one's going to have 8 cores opposed to the 6 cores on both of these i5s on both of the previous systems. And again, the other step up is that you're going to have a little bit better cooling with the system. You're going to have a tower cooler instead of just that downdraft cooler, which I think is pretty much necessary with this 11700. I wouldn't say that I would recommend a downdraft cooler with that particular CPU, just because it's going to get a lot hotter, especially if you're doing the stuff that CPU is designed to do. Like, again, if you're going to be streaming or going to be making any sort of content, it's probably going to start using most of its cores, and I know that 11th gen is getting a little bit hotter than most people would like. And again, it's nice to see that both of the memory sticks are actually 8 gig sticks instead of just being one 16 gig stick, so you're being stuck with single channel. It's actually in dual channel, which is nice, so you're going to get the bump to performance that you should be getting with that dual channel. And overall, I'd really recommend this PC for anybody who's looking for that particular price point. This is probably one of my stronger recommendations for most people who are looking to buy a gaming PC. I really wouldn't recommend too much to spend less than this amount of money on a gaming PC, especially right now as the time of recording this video. These prices are still a bit high, but this is just kind of the market that we're in right now. Now we're going to move on to a PC that is just slightly more expensive. And it's going to be kind of a bit of a contrast to both of these. So while this PC is a bit more expensive, it does have a trade-off with some of the specs that are on this one as well. So you're going to have a Ryzen 5 5600G. So this is kind of the main trade-off here. So the CPU on this system is actually going to be worse than the CPU on this system in pretty much every aspect, right? It's going to have worse single core, worse multi-core performance than the i7, and it's going to have 2 less cores, right? So it's just not going to be as good. It's going to be a good step down when it comes to overall CPU performance. But the performance that you get from the GPU upgrade, which is a 3060, is pretty good. Instead of a 1660 Super, which is a pretty last gen GPU, you're getting a brand new RTX 3060, which is going to play games pretty well. And then you also get a 1TB SSD, which again is a better storage solution that I would argue than this particular gaming PCs. So really what you're going to have to consider here, if you're looking to spend $1,000 to $1,300 on a gaming PC, you're really going to have to set your priorities before you go in and buy the PC, right? So you're going to have to see, okay, am I going to be doing stuff that is super CPU intensive, right? Am I going to be video editing? Am I going to be trying to stream and stuff like that? Am I going to be doing a bunch of these games that might require more cores than other games, right? Is that something that I'm looking to do, right? If that's a yes for you, then I would probably go with this Lenovo Legion Tower 5i gaming desktop. If it's not, and you're just playing games like CSGO, Valorant, and you're playing competitively, but you're not playing to stream, and if you're not playing to make content and stuff like that, you're just playing to play and to have fun, and you just want the more frames, and you may want to play at a higher resolution and stuff like that, then this is the system to go for. Again, you're going to have worse CPU performance. You can upgrade your CPU. It's an AMD Ryzen system, so you should just be able to take it out and put a new one in if you want to. But again, when it comes down to it, it's just going to be, do you want the better FPS on this system, or do you want the better CPU on this system for those other applications? All right, now we're moving to kind of a big boy. Now this one is going to be a weird one for me, right? So I did a lot of research on this particular PC, on actually these next two PCs. So this one and the one after this, the CyberPower. I did a lot of research on both of these. This is a price point that a lot of people are pretty invested in. Especially, this is kind of like the start of the enthusiast grade level of people buying PCs, and I think this is probably going to be one of the most common ones that people are going to get into. But this was a new PC that was launched, I think, about a week ago, and I saw it on Best Buy. And this is the ROG gaming desktop, right? So they have new ones of these every year with new specs and stuff like that. But this one really intrigued me. So when you just take a look at the specs itself, it seems like a great deal. So you're getting an i7 11700F, which is pretty much the exact same thing on this Lenovo Legion Tower, except it just doesn't have the integrated GPU. And it has 16 gigs of RAM and an RTX 3070 with a 1TB hard drive and a 512GB SSD. Which just seems like a great system. You're getting actually a pretty cool keyboard and mouse, and the case looks really cool. I think in general, this looks like a really great deal. The main problem with this PC, is just the cooling. When it came down to it, I think Asus knew that they wanted to offer something really nice in terms of value for their customer, but really didn't know how to do that. Like literally every single part of the system is great, but the CPU cooling is pretty garbage. So as you can see here, people are mounting radiators to it. So this is not something that comes stock. So people are throwing in like an NZXT radiator on the front here so that they can actually cool the 11700F. Because again, like I said, the 11700F are just the i7s and the i9s from the 11th generation of Intel CPUs get hot when you try to use them to their full potential. And using a downdraft cooler like is pictured in here, which is actually the stock cooler that you get with, it's just a downdraft cooler with no heat pipes or anything like that. It doesn't really cool the system too well. And so that's why these people are resorting to buying a third-party AIO cooler to mount into their system, because again, it just doesn't work well with how the system is put together. Like again, you can see a bunch of these pictures of people putting in these different things. But yeah, this is what the downdraft cooler looks like. It doesn't cool it. It does get hot, and that's what a lot of these people are talking about. It gets super, super hot. It says 100 degrees C in hardware monitor, which is that's thermal throttling limit. You're not going to get the full performance out of your CPU if it's hitting that temperature, which is not good for anybody, right? You want to get the full performance out of your CPU no matter what. It's like paying for something and not being able to use like 75% of it, right? It doesn't make sense. So what I would recommend for people to do is to do what these other people have done. Maybe buy just like a regular aftermarket cooler. It doesn't have to be an AIO. You can buy just like a standard tower cooler if you want to, though AIOs might be a little bit better. But in general, from what I've been seeing, the overall build quality of the rest of the components are really good. Like you're getting a ROG Strix M-ATX board, which is great. Like these are really, really good motherboards. Great VRMs, great cooling. You have an M.2 heatsink. You've got all the RAM channels that you would want. Like this motherboard is great compared to all the other motherboards we've seen on these other PCs. Like Like, look at this thing. Like, this is just, it's not great. Like, you do have some heat sinks on them, but it's not anything close to what we saw with, you know, this particular motherboard. So I think that most people would be fine with the system. I think that most people would actually really enjoy it once they upgrade the cooling for the CPU. And that's really the only critique I have with this system. I think most people would really enjoy it, especially for the price point that's at. This is honestly a steal. But I do think that the CPU cooling needs to get a little bit of a workaround. So if you're not someone who wants to go and buy an AIO, but you still want a PC for that relative same performance level, you can get an AMD Ryzen 7 3700X system instead of an i7 11700F. Now the problem with this is that you're going to have, again, worse CPU performance. This is a couple generations behind of what a Intel i7 11700F is, right? It's going to have worse overall single core performance, and it's going to have worse overall multi-core performance just because it's an older CPU. But when it comes down to it, you're going to get a pretty nice case. You're going to get pretty good cooling. You're going to get a liquid AIO, though it is only a 120 millimeter radiator. It is still going to cool the CPU fairly well, and you're going to get an RTX 3070, which I think is kind of the main selling point of this PC. Though the system is $50 more, it's pretty much the exact same thing. It just comes down to your decision, right? If you're someone who feels fine installing just a liquid cooler or just a aftermarket cooler, I think that this is definitely the PC that you should get. If you're not someone who's comfortable with that and you just want to play out of the box and you want the performance to be good out of the box, this is the PC you should go with. So again, you just kind of have to assess your needs and see what you want. And then for our last and final PC, the CyberPower PC Gamer Supreme Gaming Desktop. This is going to be my last and final recommendation. This is still kind of expensive for me, but this is pretty much the only PC that I could recommend with like a 3080 and an i9 in it. So this thing has like the highest end stuff that you can pretty much buy right now. I'm not a huge fan of the i9 11900KF just because it only has 8 cores. For like, you know, last generation where it had 10 cores. So for people who are like really into i9s are probably going to be people who are really serious about like content creation, maybe not just gaming, because really all you need is like an i5 or an i7 for gaming. So I really don't like the i9 11900KF, but pretty much it's going to do whatever you need it to do for most people. I know some other people might want different stuff, but kind of the main selling point is the 3080 in here. The RTX 3080, again, just an absolute beast of a GPU. Pretty much impossible to get right now. And in most systems, you're not going to be able to get it. Let's kind of see the customer images of this PC. I haven't really seen too many. So it seems like actually you're getting pretty decent model GPUs. Like you're getting, what is this? This is like a Ventus one. You're getting, that's not a 1080. This is, okay, so you're getting the For the Win version of it. Like these are pretty good models of 3080s that I really like. Like these are high quality version 3080s. And people have done their own upgrades and stuff like that to it, but it seems like it's a pretty decent PC. This is probably my last recommendation. I honestly think you could probably go to different places if you want to get a system with a 3080 in it. But yeah, that's pretty much all I really want to talk about with this particular system. I wouldn't buy it myself. But yeah, this is pretty much the best thing that you can get at this price range at Best Buy as of right now. Alright, so that's about it for the video. I really don't have too much else to say for this Best Buys video. If you guys did enjoy it, please leave a like on it. It really helps me out as a content creator. And if you want to see more content like this, make sure to hit that subscribe button. As well, again, go down in the comments, say something random, ask me a question. I'll answer questions down there, or just, you know, give general thoughts and stuff like that about the video, because it really does help this video get more impressions and helps me in that YouTube algorithm, you know, kind of work together. And one last thing, we do have a channel Discord, and that's gonna be linked down in the description down below. If you guys need any help, if you guys want any recommendations, or if you just want to talk tech to other people, it's a really great place. We almost have 1,000 members on there, so it'd be really great to hit that milestone sometime soon. But yeah, I would love to see you guys in there. Thanks for watching the video. Thanks for taking the time out of your day to come here and chat with me, and hopefully I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.